Cheers, I do buckaroos. How the heck are you? I am Tom, the beer and whiskey whisperer at this particular moment. So here's what we've tried to do here. Beer whiskey pairing. What I look for when I do a beer and whiskey pairing is I'm not necessarily looking for like flavors. I'm looking for flavors that will work, and aromas, I should say, that work well together. Here I have Schlafly Mexican Chocolate Stout. It is 6%, 25 IBUs. Let me change props here while I talk about that beer. Now, from their box here, the Mexican Chocolate Stout, Schlafly Mexican Chocolate Stout, steps into the ring with chocolate and cinnamon flavors and is inspired by the distinctive characters of Mexican hot cocoa, which has cinnamon in it. It's the crowd favorite that comes back every year. 6%, 25 IBUs. The nose, well, the nose is what you'd expect. It's it's chocolate and cinnamon. But the chocolate almost feels like I don't know if this is going to sound odd, but almost like a Tootsie Roll type chocolate. On the nose, anyway. With hints of cinnamon around it. But chocolate is the dominant. Let's make no mistake about that. And the same, the flavor. Again, it has that hot cocoa-like chocolate feel to it, with just a little bit of cinnamon around it all, just kind of surrounding it, but not taking over the chocolate, just to kind of lift that chocolate up. Where we belong. Anyway, never mind now. Sometimes my mind wanders, man. Anyway, let me set that down for a second. And we'll talk about the whiskey pairing and why I chose this particular whiskey pairing. Well, part of the reason is always because I have it on hand. I don't look for specific things. Oh gosh, my necklace just fell right off me. Don't know why. Let me pick that up here. Good gravy. My necklace is going belly up, or my chain, I should say. I wear this cross all the time. I'm gonna have to buy a new chain, I guess, because it keeps doing that to me. Oh, I've had this chain now for about 3 years, I suppose. Got it from Kohl's. It was a supposed $80 chain. I paid about $40 for, but it was great for about the first year. Then I started having problems with it. It started getting kinks, and now lately I can't keep it. Well, a while back, part of it broke, and I kind of monkey rigged it to keep it together, but now I can't. Well, now it just doesn't stay together on me. See if I can get that back on here. I don't do well blind here. Anyway, see, a smart person probably would have, stopped the video right there and did another take. I'm not a two-take kind of guy. My thing is honesty. I'm not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes, right? I'm trying to do an honest video, just as if we were all sitting together. So that's why I don't do a second take. I don't edit anything out. The only editing I do is I add pictures on the front end and the back end. But that is all the editing I do. Everything else is raw, just like it's supposed to be. I am the basher of beer videos. Nick Lowe, you're my hero. Anyways, I understand why Nick Lowe did the things he did. Called the basher. Anyway, single barrel rye, 47%, so it's a 94 proof rye. Yes, okay, so the reason I went with this, because of the Mexican chocolate stout, this rye does impart some spice. However, I will say it's not the spiciest rye I ever had. So the amount and type of spice that this imparts, I felt, and the sweetness that it imparts, I felt that it would pair well with this particular beer, even though I haven't done the pairing before. It sounded good, so I'm going to tell you right now if it works. So yeah, I've actually I had the at 88 proof. I recently finished a bottle of the New Holland Beer Barrel Rye. Now that rye was very spicy. A lot of citrus, a lot of spice. Where this one's a whole different animal compared to that anyway. This one has a lot of sweetness, almost a lot of bourbon-like characteristics. A lot of nutty toffee on the nose, a whole lot of vanilla, and yes, some spice, both from the rye and from the barrel, but in a much different way. Oh, it's nice. What is nice is you do feel that rye, that spice, in the middle, and then you feel that barrel spice at the end in the form of cinnamon, maybe a little bit of clove as well. But I am going to say it does work with this particular beer, because even though it is a Mexican chocolate stout, it isn't incredibly sweet, but there is a little bit of sweetness, and it pairs well with this rye, which is a little bit sweeter than most ryes. If both were too sweet, it wouldn't work, but both could sort of have a medium sweetness to them. So I feel like I feel like it works, man. For me, anyway. Hey, man, you might have a different opinion, but quite frankly, I don't care about that because you're not drinking. That's Anyway, I digress. One interesting thing about this beer is again, I said earlier, it is sweet, but it doesn't get too sweet. When you think Mexican chocolate, you might get visions of a very sweet stout. This one really doesn't get there, which is good in my opinion. It's not incredibly sweet. So when I pair it with this particular whiskey, using some whiskey stones that I got recently as an office Christmas party gift. I made out well in office Christmas parties this year. We had two, one for the entire office and one for my immediate office. The people that I work with on a daily basis was much smaller. But man, I got from the main party, I got a whiskey decanter. And then from the office of my immediate office party, I got whiskey stones and a couple glasses. It was a set that came with these two glasses and a whiskey stones, and a nice set of tongs. It was beautiful, man. It's not often that your gifts are both practical and frivolous. But it worked out that way this year. Both of these gifts are practical because they can be used, and yet they're frivolous because, well, they don't have to be. It just worked out, man. I love it when a plan comes together. To steal from Hannibal from A-Team, anyway. Anyway, I digress, man. Cheers, y'all, and a Merry Christmas to y'all. I do say Merry Christmas. I'm not offended if somebody tells me Happy Holidays, though. You want to say Happy Kwanzaa, Merry Festivus, whatever holiday, Happy Hanukkah, I don't care. I think we all ought to just, relax. Not get our knickers in a twist because somebody believes differently than us. We are not a theocracy here, folks. And we all don't have to go by somebody's narrow interpretation of a Bible. Anyway, I'm not going to get too religious on you, but I will say Merry Christmas, man. I hope everybody is enjoying the season and remembering what it is really about. As I enjoy some canned Christmas music in the background and some beer and some whiskey. So there you go. It's an interesting rye, right? It is very. Well, I mean, creamy. I don't know how else to say that. I was trying to find another adjective, is why I stopped talking. But yeah, I mean, that vanilla, the texture, the mouthfeel is just amazing. 47%. I picked up the 3 bottle set that had the single barrel rye, the Jack Daniels single barrel rye, the Jack Daniels Select single barrel, and the cask. I gotta admit, I wasn't crazy about the single barrel Select. It's okay, but it didn't light my world on fire. It is a better Jack Daniels than Black Label at 94 proof, because quite frankly, Jack at 80 proof does Jack Daniels a disservice. I wish they'd go back to bottling it how it was meant to be bottled, as a 90 proof whiskey, but that's not going to happen. Not without raising the price for much more than it ought to be. But I will say this rye is nice. The cask strength is good. But as far as cask strength bourbons, even though it's not a bourbon, Tennessee whiskey, as cask strength whiskeys go, it wasn't my favorite either. But this rye is done well in my opinion. So there you go. The hard question is would I buy that set again? And the short answer is no. Would I buy some of these products singularly again? The answer is maybe, to be honest with you. I may purchase this rye again, but I rather doubt that I will buy the single barrel Select or the cask strength again, because for about the same price point, there are other cask strength bourbons or American whiskeys that I personally prefer. So there you go. That is my opinion on that matter. And more importantly, there are smaller craft distillery cask strengths for about the same price that I would much, that I personally prefer. So there you go. So anyway, when Eli Wallach from The Holiday on you, Eli Wallach was a brilliant actor, man, and he should have got an Oscar for that movie, because his performance is just brilliant. Anyway, that's my chick flick movie. I watch it every year. I just love the dialogue in that film. It cracks me up. What I like about this rye, why I think it is special and worth a look, is that all the flavors and aromas come together. It's not the boldest rye I've had. It's not the spiciest rye. It's not the sweetest. It's not the this, that, or the other. But it does a lot of things right, and that's why I like it. So there you go. I am Tom, the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and we change props here. Put the beer back up. The beer bottle, anyway, I should say. Who are you? I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and biscuits, that's good. All right, good guy. Merry Christmas, y'all.